Okay, let's dive right into this. When you hear the name Mark Twain, you probably picture, riverboats, Tom Sawyer, maybe some 19th century Americana. But beneath all that classic literature lies one of history's wittiest, most cynical, and honestly, surprisingly profound life coaches. So we're going to look past the fiction today and distill Twain's chaotic, brilliant wisdom into a definitive explainer. We'll be pulling directly from his absolute sharpest quotes and observations to uncover a practical guide to surviving this deeply, deeply flawed world of ours. To make sense of it all, here is our roadmap. First up, human absurdity. Then, truth and morality. Next, we'll tackle mastering fear, followed by love and connection. And finally, humor, aging, and joy. Let's get to it. Section 1, The Absurdity of Human Nature, Navigating a Flawed World. Now, Twain was famous for his sharp critiques of society. And to really understand his advice, we first have to understand the problem, which is us. He perfectly contrasts human cruelty with animal loyalty. He points out that man is the only animal that is truly cruel, literally the only one that inflicts pain purely for the pleasure of doing it. Now compare that to a starving dog. Twain noted that if you pick up a starving dog and make him prosperous, he won't bite you. And that, according to him, is the principal difference between a dog and a man. He even threw in this legendary quip that when it comes to the difference between a man and a jackass, well, some observers hold there actually isn't any difference at all. This brilliantly illustrates his deep understanding of human duality. He famously said, "Everyone is a moon and has a dark side which she never shows to anybody." I mean, we all wear facades, right? We all have these hidden flaws. He famously noted that clothes make the man and that naked people have little or no influence in society. He knew that so much of human behavior is basically just a performance to get ourselves loved or envied by others. Which leads us to this glorious piece of cynical genius. Looking at the grand, messy scope of the human race, Twain once declared, "It often seems such a pity that Noah didn't miss the boat." Think about your own daily frustrations with humanity. The traffic, the endless arguments online, the sheer absurdity of it all. Sometimes it is really hard not to agree with him, isn't it? Section 2, Truth, Lies, and Morality, the Honest Policy. So, since we live in a world packed full of flawed people, how do we navigate honesty? Well, consider this massive number, 869. According to Twain, there are 869 different forms of lying. But, as he cheekily pointed out, only one of them has been squarely forbidden, and that is to bear false witness against thy neighbor. The man clearly understood that deception is just a massive, complex part of the human experience. The crucial point, then, is how we handle truth versus deception. Twain argued that a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is just putting its shoes on. He noted that truth is actually not hard to kill, but a lie told well, that's immortal. It boasts even more lives than a cat. And this is an incredibly modern observation when you think about it. Look at how fast misinformation spreads today compared to the slow, fragile truth. Twain was warning us about this exact thing over a century ago. But here is his ultimate life hack when it comes to honesty. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. He isn't just taking the moral high ground here, he's offering you a stress-relieving strategy. Lying requires immense mental effort. You have to keep your story straight, remember who you told what to. Honesty, it's just easier. It frees up your brain space for much better things. Section 3, Mastering Fear and Courage, Facing the Day. How do we conquer our own internal battles and anxieties just to face the day? Well, first, we have to completely redefine what bravery actually is. Twain defined courage specifically as the resistance to fear, the mastery of fear, not the absence of fear. And that should be immensely comforting to hear. Bravery is not about lacking fear. It's about feeling the terror and deciding to push through it anyway. You are absolutely allowed to be scared, you just aren't allowed to let it stop you. To help master that fear, Twain essentially left us this daily survival checklist. First up, eat a raw frog first thing in the morning. Now, what he meant by that is if you do the absolute worst, most daunting task right away, nothing worse will happen to you for the rest of the day. Second, when angry, count to 4. If you're very angry, swear. He genuinely believed profanity furnished a relief denied even to prayer. Third, always acknowledge fault frankly. It throws authority off guard. And finally, do something every day that you don't want to do, just to acquire the habit of doing your duty without pain. And it all culminates in this beautifully simple, empowering truth. To believe yourself brave is to be brave. Confidence and self-belief directly manufacture courage in the face of adversity.
If you can convince yourself that you have what it takes, your actions are inevitably going to follow suit. Section 4. Love and human connection. Bait with your heart. Beneath all that signature sarcasm, Twain actually had a deeply poignant philosophy on relationships. He drew a really hard line between logic and emotion. He advised that when you fish for love, you must bait with your heart, not your brain. He believed you simply cannot reason with your heart. It has its own laws, its own thumps about things which the intellect completely scorns. When it comes to real connection, overthinking is the enemy.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer depth of his empathy. Kindness is a language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. I just want to let that sit with you for a second. For a man who claimed humanity was the lowest animal, he clearly placed an infinite, universal value on deep compassion. But true to form, he was also highly realistic about what it takes to actually build that connection. He noted that no woman or man really knows what perfect love is until they've been married a quarter of a century. True connection isn't just some fleeting romance. It takes immense time, incredible patience, and a shared history to build an enduring partnership that can actually outlast life's troubles. Section 5. Humor, aging, and joy. The final laugh. So how does Mark Twain suggest we handle getting older, losing our memories, and finding genuine happiness? The answer comes down to the number one single thing. Twain believed that the human race has only one really effective weapon against the sheer weight and tragedy of existence, and that weapon is laughter. Against the assault of laughter, he said, nothing can stand. And he used that exact humor beautifully to explain the aging process. Take this famous setup, for example. When I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have the old man around. Now that perfectly captures the pure arrogance of youth, doesn't it? I mean, we all thought we knew absolutely everything when we were teenagers. But then comes the punchline. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much the old man had learned in 7 years. It's hilarious, but it's also a surprisingly profound observation on how aging and experience completely shift our perspective on wisdom. Our parents didn't suddenly get smarter, we just finally grew up enough to understand them. Which brings us to the emotional climax of Twain's entire philosophy. Grief can take care of itself, but to get full value of a joy, you must have somebody to divide it with. The ultimate reward of surviving the absurdity of humanity, of eating those live frogs in the morning, of navigating truth and lies, is shared happiness. So, I want to leave you with this final provocative question, derived from Twain's own realization that the fear of death follows directly from the fear of life. A person who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. So ask yourself, are you living fully, or are you just afraid of life? Take Twain's wisdom, go out there, conquer your day, and make absolutely sure you aren't missing the boat.